Hello and welcome to another episode of the TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week with me, Craig Barton. Now, look at the title of this, Tick or Trash. Many of you will be very familiar with this style of resource. There's loads of them over TES and they are flipping wonderful. They're spot the mistake style activities where kids are presented with a work solution and asked to tick it or trash it. And often it's two competing ways of answering questions that students need to decide which one they'll tick and which one they'll trash. And it's related to a resource I did probably 2 weeks ago now, where I looked at an absolutely wonderful series of resources called Clumsy Clive, which are in the same genre, this mistake spotting activity, and it's a really powerful learning tool. But how about this? Can you improve on a classic? Well, thanks to Durham Potter, you can. Tick, trash, or improve. Let's have a look what this is. So this particular one covers standard form. And the resource looks like this. It's a really simple, straightforward resource. But I think it's so powerful. So it's a single slide on a PowerPoint. But this can be printed out or simply projected up. And kids are presented with some standard form questions and the answers to the standard form. But this time, these could be correct, in which case they get a tick. They could be incorrect, in which case they get a trash, put in the trash, or look at this, correct but can be improved. Now that's interesting, right? So what would an answer that fits into that category be? What about something like this? 73,000 is equal to 73 times 10 to the power of 3. That mathematically isn't wrong, so you can't chuck it straight in the trash. But you know it's not going to get full marks in an exam, especially if it's the question's been write 73,000 in standard form. So that can be improved. How can it be improved? Well, that's where the students come into play. Doing some working out, do some corrections. And it's these improves that I think really adds an extra dimension to this resource, because it shows students that things aren't just necessarily black and white, right and wrong. Some things can be close, but can just be improved slightly. And whenever I think about marking kids' exams, often that's where the vast majority of marks come tumbling. It's not this. It's not things that are definitely wrong. Students often have an idea how to get started and get so far into a problem, but their answer can be improved, whether it be being a bit more careful, whether it be finishing the question, whether it be chucking some units on at the end or so on. So this is a great way to get students to reflect on their own work, to think, is it right, is it wrong, or can I go a little bit better with it? Now, this doesn't need to be just standard form, and they're the kind of resources I like to pick out on TES for Resource of the Week, ones that can be transferred across a whole host of topics. So let's think about other ones where things can be either right, wrong, or can be improved. What about a fraction question? Where kids, for example, add two fractions together successfully, but then don't go the full distance and simplify their answer. That's something that mathematically is right, but if the question says give your answer in its simplest form, you're not going to get the full marks. I mentioned one there, an obvious one, leaving units in their answer. How many times do you see that? So present kids with questions and answers where the answer hasn't quite had the units, put the units in. So again, it's not wrong, but it can certainly be improved. What about rearranging algebraic formula? How many times have you seen kids do a couple of the steps but not go all the way to leave, for example, t on its own? There's a flipping t on the right hand side of the equation as well as on the left. So rearranging the formula, mathematically the steps involved that the kids may have done may be right, but they've not gone all the way, so it's not wrong, but it can certainly be improved. So I just think this is wonderful. I'm going to give the same kind of word of caution as I gave to Clumsy Clive a couple of weeks ago. Just be careful when you use these in the learning process. Personally, I don't think kids should be confronted with mistakes which they're expected to correct too early on until they themselves are secure in doing things the right way around. Otherwise, there's a chance kids can get confused and think, what's the right answer, what's the wrong answer? It's quite cognitively demanding that on students. So I like to use things like tick, trash, or improve, or Clumsy Clive, or any spot mistakes at the end of the learning process. These will make a great homework or a great low stakes assessment. So I just thought these were superb. So there you go. If you like these, a couple of things. Firstly, download it and give it a review and a rating. But secondly, let's create a few more of these, because these could go big. Tick, trash, or improve could be the new Clumsy Clive. So let's get involved. As I say, I just think this is a fantastic resource. So anyway, hope that was useful, and I'll see you for a fresh Resource of the Week next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.